विमेन्स वर्ल्ड कप है, मैं हमारी विमेन क्रिकेट टीम को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
On that trophy, there are names of the teams who have won the championship, and finally I get to see India there. People sort of don't really look down on women's cricket.
WPL के आने से इवॉल्व हो रहा है women's cricket. अभी आप बहुत कुछ देखोगे, छोटे छोटे बच्चों को पेरेंट्स उनके पुश कर रहे हैं कि आप स्पोर्ट्स को एज अ करियर चूज करो, तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात है.
जैसे मेंस का है वैसे ही वुमेन्स का भी ऐसे होगा कि चेन्नई हमको भी क्रिकेट खेलना है.
आसान नहीं था, बहुत अप्स एंड डाउन्स आए हैं, बट आई थिंक ये टीम ने सबसे अच्छा किया है कि दे न्यू हाउ टू बाउंस बैक. आई वांट टू ट्रैक फ्रॉम नाउ हाउ वुमेन्स क्रिकेट इन इंडिया चेंजेस.
आपकी ये सफलता देश के करोड़ों नौजवानों को प्रेरित करेगी.
What a celebration of cricket, of women in sports, and yes, India has done it, beating South Africa, lifting the first ever Women's Cricket World Cup. Good evening and a very warm welcome to NDTV Profit. I'm Vikram Oza. Yes, today across the country, celebrations are on, and they're on in full swing after our women's cricket team has made history on Sunday night at Mumbai's D.Y. Patil Stadium. For years, women's cricket in India, it has been defined by its potential of what it could bring to the table. But tonight, it is getting defined by its victory and the kind of value that it brings forth. It could well be a game-changing moment for Indian sport. The team's incredible victory and that record prize purse of nearly 90 crore rupees, it marks a turning point, not just on the field, but perhaps off it as well. And that's what we're exploring, because here is the truth. The numbers are telling that story, the kind of story that's hard to ignore. The women's sponsorship pool still hovers around 10% of the men's kitty. And a top-grade woman cricketer earns less than the lowest grade male player. So there is that disparity. There is that difference that we've seen and observed and talked about at length when it comes to men's cricket and women's cricket. Is all of that likely to change? Will this World Cup, the victory that we've had, is that going to change the equation? Will it finally be the catalyst that puts women in blue on the same economic playbook as the men in blue? Is that coming? Will women's cricket now finally enter the big brand league? And to help us unpack it, we have with us an excellent panel. Of course, Ad Guru, Prahlad Kakkar is joining us on the show today. And indeed, we have Bharat Dabolkar as well, the former managing director of Publicis India, and cricket analyst, commentator as well. Jamie Alter is here with us. So, gentlemen, glad you could make the time. Tell us, what do you think? First up, tell me, in your opinion, Prahlad, what is palpably changing now in terms of the victory that we've had, and now when you're talking about advertising, the entire gamut of brands who are vying for talent and looking for new brand ambassadors, are they going to find them in the Indian women's cricket team?
I think more so than even the men, I personally think, because the mixed following that I saw in the stadium yesterday was unbelievable. There were as many men as there were women. And it was chock-a-block full. And the level of support that the team got was unbelievable. So, and anyway, advertising-wise, women always got paid more than men did. So I don't see why the women cricketers can't get on par with men, or if not more, frankly.
Of course, but of course, the story has changed, and quite dramatically. And sometimes you need victories the size and scale of this one, Bharat, that really makes that shift happen. Is this that shift?
No, I don't think so. I'll play the spoil sport. I think it's fantastic that women will finally stop getting that stepsisterly treatment from the sports people. But I'll tell you what happened in advertising. It is not about a victory. It's not about an Olympic gold medal. It is the continuity of that. Why do men get more money? Because they are in the public eye on a daily basis. Men are playing a cricket match 24/7, 365 days. Whether it's IPL, whether it's different countries, unless you start an IPL for women, unless women are seen on a regular basis, this will be short-lived. They'll get all the contracts now, they'll get some branding right now, but in 6 months' time, they'll be forgotten. Unless there are matches happening all the time with different teams, the way it is happening with IPL, the way it is happening with other countries for men's cricket. Otherwise, this will be short-lived. We'll have that euphoria right now. Some of these women who are at the forefront will get brands, they'll get some advertising sponsorships, but it'll all fade away in 6 months. It's all about staying there consistently. And unless there are matches happening consistently, they can't stay there consistently. That's the sad truth of how advertising works. They glamorize people who are in the public eye on a daily basis. That's why film stars, because they have their films coming in there in the media every day. Unless these women who are fantastic, some of them are better than the male cricketers, unless they get an opportunity to stay in the public eye on a regular basis, their contracts will fade away. After 6 months, people wouldn't remember a Jemima. They should, but they wouldn't. That's the harsh truth of it. That's how
That's the
advertising
crucial
works.
difference, Jamie Alter. What's your take on this? Because like Bharat is pointing out, you need consistency. You have to be seen. That's how celebrities are made, and that's what attracts brands to the celebrities. Yes, we've got a huge win in our kitty now, and that has really catapulted them to the higher ranks of celebritydom. But now, from here on, how consistent does their performance need to be? How much do we need to see them to be able to say that, yes, the brands are going to keep going to them?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a fantastic win. It's taken 50 years from the first time that India got into the World Cup to win this title. We've seen, I mean, how many times has this team come agonizingly close? But that said, with a heavy heart, I'm going to have to agree with Bharat. We've seen this before. Look at last night. Almost every member of that 11 spoke, and it was emotional. What did Deepti Sharma say? This is Deepti Sharma, the player of the tournament, okay, in India's first World Cup win. Scores of 50, takes 5 wickets. For me, what was the takeaway as she finished her brief post-match description? I hope we get more matches. Now, if someone like Deepti Sharma, a proven world-class all-rounder, player of the blooming tournament, has to ask or plead for more matches, I think the writing's on the wall. Yes, this might get them short-term deals. We in the media will probably talk about them for the next few days. But unfortunately, being in this line for over 2 decades, I've seen this before. It happened in 2017. Yes, on that occasion, the Indian team was unable to lift the trophy, but they came back, they got a hero's welcome. There was fanfare. It lasted all of 10 days. Unfortunately, we, the media, are also to be held accountable. We see this with the Olympics. 2 weeks before the Olympics, we go all gung-ho, then expectations aren't matched, and then we don't talk about these athletes for 4 years. So as brilliant as this performance is, and I want to use this platform for what it's worth to say, well done, every single member of the team and the coaching staff, and I wish you much, much success, both monetarily and as a team. I'll echo the words of Bharat and say this could all fade away in 6 months if they don't get the platform, the opportunity, and most importantly, they don't fail to keep winning.
Yes, absolutely. Now, they need the matches. They need to be out there on the field, winning matches and important ones. Perhaps that may happen, may not happen. Prahlad Kakkar, despite that, you have the likes of Smriti Mandhana, you have a Jemima Rodrigues, you have a Shafali Verma. They have been getting signed on by the brands. Do you see them hitting the high sixes now, entering the A-League? Even if it is for a shorter period, like signing up for 5 and 10 crores rupee, the kind of campaigns that the A-listers draw? 5 to 10 crore rupees a campaign. How high do you think they will go?
I doubt it. And what Bharat said is very true. If they don't get constant exposure, then they're not going to be paid that kind of money. But anyway, within the business of in media, men and women, the difference between tennis, whether it's golf, whether it's cricket, is always going to be a disparity. But right now, they have a great platform to actually break into the A-level thing, not at the level that the male cricketers are going to go at, but definitely at a level where it's going to be very, very lucrative. And the fact is that advertising-wise, I believe that they're much easier on the eyes than the men are. So I don't see why a lot more what do you call, contracts won't go to the women. I'm sure they will. They won't get paid as much, but they'll definitely get a lot of contracts, depending on how many matches that come on the calendar, how much exposure they get, and how much exposure television gives them all the time. So they're there in your face all the time.
Compared to what was women's cricket before the World Cup victory to what it is likely to be now, pre-victory, post-victory, how much changes from how a brand looks at the women cricketers who've become overnight celebrities in a much bigger way than they ever had? Bharat.
Well, for a short time, yes. As Prahlad also agreed, for a short time, I think what the women cricketers need now is a women's IPL kind of a match series where they are seen all the time. The ICC or BCCI has to keep on organizing women's matches with different countries the way they're doing it for men. Unless that happens, unless they are in your face on a daily basis, nothing will change. The euphoria will last for a few weeks or a month maybe, and then people will forget them. Do we remember who won the Olympic medal in Olympics 8 years back? No, we don't, because he's not playing, he's not shooting every day. But we remember a film star, we remember a male cricket star, because Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma is seen every day. They're playing every day, good or bad. But they're there
surely,
in your face.
Bharat, but even for a short bit, and sometimes campaigns are meant for a very short term as well. And now we've seen in our digital consumption, all of that does play out. And sometimes you hit a jackpot that kind of lasts beyond what you thought would last. So even that is open, right? When you have such a big victory and you have some big stars over here in the world of women's cricket, won't you see the brands approach them slightly differently before this victory happened?
They would. They definitely would. They'll have more contracts coming their way. There'll be more people approaching them for sponsorship. There'll be all kinds of things. But I'm saying that unless after this victory, unless next month something else starts where they're seen again, this will wear off. Even the audiences, even the consumers will forget who they were. Consumers, they also have to see them regularly.
Correct. So, Jamie, when you...
Something else has to happen next month.
Yes, but Jamie, let's just try and understand it from the viewership potential as well that women's cricket now affords. And perhaps it did for a long time, like you said, but now they've got their due and now they've shot into the spotlight with this victory. But in terms of their the spectacle value of women's cricket, what has really changed in recent times that you think could make them a bigger draw again? In the world of branding, of course, but in terms of their ability to be able to regale audiences, that's going to be the big one, isn't it?
Absolutely. And look, I mean, we all know the BCCI is all of our favorite punching bag, but I'm going to give credit to them. You know, they've had the Women's Premier League has been around for 3-4 years. The standard there has really improved. And I think just like we saw 15, 16, 17 years ago, when the IPL started, the confidence that uncapped players or fringe Indian players get when they share a dressing room with Chris Gayle and Shane Watson and A.B. de Villiers and you name it, I think we're seeing that rub off. You know, the Meg Lannings and the Heather Knights and the Nat Silver Brunts and the Marizanne Caps, all these big international, you know, the Brits and the Aussies and the Kiwis and the South Africans, the West Indians, Hayley Matthews, who plays for the Mumbai franchise. When these players come, and I'm not talking so much about the Indian players with experience, Jemima, Harman, Deepti, you know, Smriti. It's the fringe players. When they rub shoulders with these big names of the game, it definitely has a spin-off effect. And I think we've seen that. Before this series, they went to England. They beat them in the one-day series and the T20 series. That doesn't often happen with India in bilateral series. They had a tough series against Australia, literally, a week or 10 days before this World Cup, but there were signs for me as a cricket journalist, you know, when the fact that they were chasing a record total, they came close. Oftentimes Indian teams get close, but it's a mess. But I saw enough potential there that led me to believe before a ball was bowled in this World Cup, and I've said this in a few of my videos, if they could just somehow get past that jinx of Australia, you know, this was their World Cup to win. And I really hope, like I said earlier, from a monetary perspective, they get every single paisa or dollar, pound, ruble, whatever it is that is owed to them. I think they should not be lagging behind the men at any regards. But like Bharat said earlier, it comes down to, again, I'll use that jo dikta hai, bikta hai wala line from the world of advertising. They need more games. There's not a lot, unfortunately, not a lot of bilateral cricket stacked up in the immediate future for Harmanpreet's team. So that might just be somewhat detrimental to them. But I'm fully confident that once they get back to playing bilateral series on a regular basis, the confidence from last night, I think they're going to become a more consistent team. And that should, as we've been discussing, get them more lucrative deals.
This entire funda that we're talking about, jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai, Prahlad, when you see a Premier League and now you have a WPL for a couple of years, is that what it takes to create cricket celebrities, cricket stars and cricket brands in themselves? Because you see that happen, right? I mean, it creates a different kind of entertainment for audiences, and it has expanded the game when you talk about an IPL.
Tremendous. The IPL is actually one of the richest, leagues in the world today. And players from all over the world die to come and play in India for the IPL because they get so many endorsements, not only with us, but also back home. So IPL, if we do an IPL for the ladies, it's going to be a game changer, to be very honest.
What do you think, Jamie? Because right now, at this stage, when you're talking about WPL, what do you think has happened so far in terms of how much exposure our women cricketers are getting? You said time on the field is a crucial factor. How much has it grown compared to how we've seen an IPL grow from its nascent years to what we've seen today? How much has that boost come through?
Not anywhere near what we saw from the IPL for so many factors. I don't think we need to go over there again, but it's gotten better. The first season of the WPL was a bit of a lukewarm response, but the consistency, the crowds, I've always said, yes, we have our Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, Kolkata, a few big major metro cities. But if you want to attract a new audience, you're going to have to go to the tier 2 and 3 cities, So let's look at Agra, let's look at Indore, let's look at smaller venues. And mostly when it comes to men's cricket and to a lesser extent, women's cricket, when you've taken the games, I'm talking about international cricket, you've taken the bilaterals to smaller venues, more often than not, broadly speaking, you've got good crowds. So I think the WPL also, yes, you need the financial base of Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, wherever you have it, but you also need to somehow attract the audiences who are tuning in. A lot of people watch this World Cup. This was the most watched Women's World Cup ever, So people are tuning in. The stakeholders, all those involved, the broadcasters, BCCI, sponsors, how do they now try and get that audience tuning in on their devices or TVs? How do they get them to now come and watch at the ground? The WPL is a fantastic starter, but getting more matches, I just cannot shake the words of Deepti ki hame aur matches milne chahiye. I mean, you just won a World Cup, and one of the first things you've been reduced to doing is asking for more matches. That shouldn't be the case. It speaks volumes of where the women's game still has to go. But I think this success of last night, it's gonna go down in folklore. Tremendous victory. Throw in some more matches, get some more sponsorship, go to a few more smaller venues, and the game can only go from strength to strength.
So, Bharat, would you at least concede that this is a gold mine that needs to be dug? We are kind of building it. So, to be able to build it, how exactly would you go about it if you had to recommend that women's cricket is a great opportunity to brands? Today, if you're seeing the potential of what the women cricketers have been able to achieve, then you see what IPL has done for the game of cricket as a whole, and then you try and marry the two. Because look, like JB is pointing out, the consumption of women's cricket, this World Cup, the maiden one, has proven a point beyond measure. So if you have to dig into that and make an opportunity case over there, how would you present it?
See, in every other field that we worked in, whether it's advertising, marketing, or any other management field, women are far better than men. Women managers are better. I think women cricketers, the kinds of catches that they held yesterday, I don't think male cricketers have done it so well. I think women cricket is fantastic. As Prahlad said, women are anyway, they look better when they're playing, they're better than men. But the thing is, see, now they'll get lots of money. The central government will give them money, crores or rupees, their own state governments will give them money. So they'll be richer. But unless in the next few months they start, it's not how they perform. They have to be seen. They have to be seen regularly. So unless somebody steps in and says, we'll keep on organizing matches with different countries, like a Ranji Trophy thing on a bigger scale, like an IPL. Unless that happens immediately, this will fade away.
No, fair enough. I mean, that risk we do have to be realistic about. But Prahlad, you know how brand endorsements, we're always seeking out credible stories, not just victories, but credible stories, because stories last. And women's cricket market, it had I mean, for better or worse, it lacked a professional playbook for brand value. Now, after this victory, do you feel that narrative is strong enough now? Because that credible story is getting built. How do you build it from here? The hero's journey, the brand resonance, all of that seems to be going up. So now if you have to build on this, Prahlad, what would you suggest?
I think there'll be lots of private sponsors coming in and lots of people actually encouraging the game and audiences. And what was really amazing was the kind of turnout that happened yesterday at the finals.
Correct.
And the semi-finals. And that is what is really reassuring, because finally it's the public that makes your stars and not just the authorities.
Right.
The authorities can give you a playing field, but it's the public following and the public adorations that actually give you endorsements and that make brands actually wake up and smell the coffee.
Correct.
So we have now made a chink in the armor. Let's widen it. Let's all get together and start pushing for the fact that there should be more exposure, there should be more games, and the stories are plenty. From zero to hero stories in women's cricket is unbelievable. The kind of background that these girls come from. I mean, it's amazing what they've overcome, where they've come from, how well they've done. So there's no dearth of stories.
Right.
It's the dearth of opportunity.
Right. Right. So dearth of opportunity, you're saying, Prahlad. But Jamie, since we're talking about this World Cup and you highlighted for us that this was so well watched, the kind of coverage that it had and how everyone was glued and everyone was rooting for the women's cricket team, we haven't seen that kind of involvement. Yes, it was the World Cup and India was at the forefront and we had a chance to win and everyone enjoys a victory. And when it comes in the world of cricket, India is going to celebrate, which is exactly what we're seeing now. But tell me what you think made it that much more attractive, because it was women's cricket and it was this kind of attraction was playing out for the first time.
It's remarkable. I think the WPL factor, which I've already addressed, so I won't go back there, but it's a kind of crowd that, that the bigger WPL teams have been attracting. And a venue like Navi Mumbai, it doesn't rely on anybody else. It can fill a stadium just with local residents or people in that area. It's a fantastic stadium. It is, for all practical purposes, the home of Indian women's cricket now in India. And yes, the team didn't play there until the end of the tournament or the business end. But you got a sense that if this Indian team, and let's face it, they started well, they lost 3 matches. We all said, oh no, here we go again. Are they going to choke? Or the familiar pressure points starting to show. But I think it's beating England a few months ago. It's pushing Australia close, as I said, weeks before this tournament start. It's also the core group. I mean, we don't know how much longer Harmanpreet Kaur is going to be around. But the kind of potential leaders she's groomed, I look at that squad and I see at least 5 people who could be captaining India in the not too distant future. When you have that kind of players, when you're gelling, Amol Mazumdar, I mean, how much credit does he get in keeping this team motivated? He's a man who should have played for India, 2.5 decades ago, didn't get the chance. So all these factors put together, I think it gave not just the team, but also the fans, And yes, of course, it's a home World Cup, so you expect good crowds, but it just gave people the belief that if somehow they can just get that monkey off the back in terms of the Australian team,
yes,
it should be their World Cup. And I think that semi-final, when they knocked it down, a world record chase, with all due respect to South Africa and how good they were, I think heart of hearts, we all know, is baar to final apna hai.
Aur apna hua. That is the great one to go away with. But if I was to push you, Jamie, and say one cricketer on the women's team that you think could be the Virat Kohli of endorsements, who would you think that would be?
I don't like comparisons, and I think the Virat Kohli one is unfair on whichever name any of us take. But I think just given her status, the way that she's come around, her consistency, for me it would be Smriti Mandhana. And I'm glad that she's got a couple ads. It sounds weird to say a couple, because a couple for the likes of Dhoni, who's been retired for years, and Kohli and Rohit, even Jasprit Bumrah, a couple is peanuts. But the fact that I've seen her face on a couple ads over the last few weeks made me as an Indian feel very, very proud. So I think to answer your question, I would go for Smriti Mandhana.
So Smriti Mandhana is his Jamie's pick. Prahlad was seen nodding very vigorously. But if I was to ask you one brand that should go after the women's cricket team and find their next brand ambassador, Bharat, which one would you say?
Well, I would Go with any of the brands. I'll tell you, like for tea, I handled all the Tata tea brands. We had taken PT Usha as a brand ambassador. So I think if I had to do a campaign for a tea brand, I would take any of these fancy girls. They were all good and they were all energetic. And I think if I was launching a tea brand, I would use any one of them. If I was
Prahlad?
launching a health drink, I would use any one of them.
Prahlad, we were talking about building stories, and Bharat has one of his own connected to tea. When it comes to products and brands, where are you seeing the opportunities for the Indian women's cricket team that has done us so proud?
Well, I'll tell you something. In terms of potential, I see Jemima as a tremendous potential because she has a Preeti Zinta-like, attitude, which is always smiling, always energetic, always full of beans. And she'll go a long way in product endorsements because she's very, very attractive.
One word to describe the mood right now in Indian's cricket team. Which one would you pick from the many words that come to mind when you have a celebration of victory of this kind, Jamie Walter?
Overdue.
Long overdue. Yes, 2 words, but yes, certainly that. And if you had to sell Team India Women as a brand, tell me what you think, Bharat, the tagline should be.
Utterly, butterly feminine.
Certainly so. Prahlad, same question to you.
The tagline for the entire team would be, when the chips are down, who do you turn to deliver?
And the Indian women's cricket team is the one that you would turn to when the chips are down. Well, this really goes to prove a point. You're saying, Prahlad, what exactly?
They have shown so much character in this tournament, from complete adversity to champions. The transition was so remarkable that it's a test of true character and courage.
Well, that's your story right there, and that's we are going to wrap it up tonight. The big win, the bigger question, and an even bigger hope that Indian women's cricket, now world champions, finally stepping into possibly, and we hope that the entire story develops into the big brand league story, and that's where it truly belongs. Huge thank you to all my guests, Jamie Walter, Bharat Dabolkar, Prahlad Kakkar. Thank you very much for joining us with your deep insights on the subject. Always a pleasure having you with us. And that's it, viewers. Of course, we are going to track the journey that our Indian women cricket team have taken. It's a great beginning of sorts, and whether or not this really transforms into huge endorsements, the kind that match the Indian men's cricket team, that's going to be closely watched. We'll be doing that. But for the moment, from all of us here on The Big Question and me, Vikramoza, thank you. Good evening.